Hi, Gene Burnett here from GeneBurnett.com. Hey, I want to talk to you today about something that's really important to me, and it's come about from a couple different angles in my life, and it's really been beneficial, and I just want to share it in case it might be beneficial to you as well. And I call it the engaged life. Now let me explain. It didn't start off in some philosophical lofty place of me thinking about what an engaged life is. It started with me biking uphill. So when I finish teaching or practicing in the park, I ride uphill maybe a mile. It winds up around the top of the park, and it winds up a nice high road, and then it comes down, and then it goes up a little bit, and then back into town, and then back home. I'm not really a mountain biker. I'm like a commuter who likes to take the long way home and doesn't mind riding uphill. So I do this regularly, and one of the things that occurred to me as I'm riding is I like to keep a steady kind of a pace. I don't like my pedals to go loose and then hard and loose. I like to keep a steady pace, and that was something that really one of the first things I noticed recently was like, okay, let's just keep that pace, keep it smooth to avoid like awkward gear transitions. Because as I said in an earlier video on Tai Chi and uphill bike riding, I can't control the incline of the hill. I can't control the weather. I can't control the road conditions. I can't control how much energy I have, and I can't control my just physicality that day if I've got a sore muscle or a sore joint or something. Can't control those things. The only thing I really have some control over is somewhat my attitude and what gear I'm in. So my earlier video was about adjusting and finding the gear that I can keep a nice smooth pace with, and all the things I have to listen to while I do that. Listening to my breathing, listening to my physicality, my energy level, the road conditions, the steepness, and adjusting my gear accordingly to keep that smooth pace going uphill. So that was kind of where I was at recently, just doing that. And it was fun though. I was up there one day doing that, and I hear this, the sound of music coming from behind you that's muted, and it's headphones, but the person is actually listening fairly loud because you can hear it, but it's muffled like headphones. And this dude cruised by me on that same uphill road, and he's on a battery bike and just pedaling leisurely and listening to this trippy electronic music. And I've done that kind of thing in my life plenty and still do, and I could see that would be really fun, especially if he's a little stoned and just having a cinematic kind of experience while he's riding and not having to strain too much, and the battery takes the brunt of the work. But I was just contrasting it like, oh my God, like I'm paying attention to so many things to get up here under my own power at 64 years old. It's a lot. It's just a totally different experience from cruising on your electric bike. So the next thing I realized when I was doing this, and this is the part that really shifted things for me, was as I'm biking, I realized that there's this kind of edge of gravity as I'm biking. I'm sure, like, if any of you are like serious bikers, you probably have a name for this, but I call it like the edge of gravity. So as I'm going up, I feel this edge. And it's like when I'm even with the edge, I'm feeling the pressure in my pedals. I feel the pressure and I'm pushing against it. And if I'm even with the edge, I will be going the same speed. And I will not be accelerating and I will not be decelerating, no matter what the height of the hill is. If I'm feeling that edge, I feel like, okay, I'm about even with the pressure of gravity. If I'm going a little slower than that edge, or like if I'm in a too loose a gear to feel that edge, or if I'm just slacking in my attitude and just kind of, then I start to tip back towards the back of the edge, and then I'm actually slowly slowing down, right? If I push past the edge and really kind of feel the bite of the pedal, the pressure in my feet, then I'm actually accelerating. I'm actually going past the edge. Which is very difficult to do uphill for any length of time. Anyone can accelerate uphill in the short term, but try continuing to accelerate while you go up, and you're just going to reach the limit of your ability to do that pretty quickly. So this is not about sustaining acceleration, and it's not about just trudging along, just barely staying ahead of gravity. I noticed that when I was at that edge or just a little bit past it, I'm sort of at the front part of this zone here of feeling the edge. Back at the back, I don't feel the edge at all. I'm actually going downhill. In the middle, I'm starting to feel it, and then I start to feel it engaged in my feet, and then when I go a little faster, I really feel it. But what I noticed that as long as I'm engaged, as long as I'm engaged with that pressure, my posture starts to adapt to that. I feel more upright on the bike. I notice my whole psychology and my whole physicality felt positive and alive and connected to the road, because I'm feeling that edge in my feet. So you could almost take it like bite, chew, swallow. I'm at the bite. I'm biting into the space in front of me just a little bit. If I have to accelerate, like if there's a little extra stretch of uphill right before a stop sign that's about to go downhill, or if there's some traffic I want to get ahead of and I can see it coming, I can easily accelerate because I'm right at the edge of accelerating anyway, or even slightly accelerating anyway. So I'm at that edge, so I just add a little more pressure and I can just accelerate in the short term and then find that edge again. And a lot of staying on that edge for me has to do with what gear I'm in. If I'm in a very high gear, I have to have a lot of isometric strength in order to stay on that edge and not be falling behind it. And sometimes I'm in the mood for that. Sometimes I've got the strength and I've got the energy and I'm in the mood for that. So I'll be in a fairly high gear and I have to work pretty hard to stay at that edge. If I soften a little bit, I start to fall behind it. Other times I'm in a lower gear and I still feel that edge, but I pedal more times. And I can pedal fast enough that I can feel the edge the whole way. So I can navigate around potholes if I want to and go around shadows if I want to keep myself in the sun or whatever. Like I can kind of, improvise a little bit and have a little more fun. But for me to feel the edge at that rate, I have to be pedaling faster. So whatever gear I'm in, there's an optimal pedaling speed that will keep me on that edge. And so I was noticing this, and then I started to realize that those changes that happened when I engaged with that edge versus when I slack back from it a little bit. When I slack back for a little bit and I'm just slogging, I'm just barely not decelerating, I just feel slumpy and my energy just kind of feels down. And if I just push it a little bit just to engage that edge, all of a sudden, I could even feel my metabolism going up. Like I felt like I was burning slightly more calories because more muscles are engaged, and there's something psychological about that too. It's like telling my body, we might have to accelerate at any minute because we're ready to right now, which means, keep the fires going, keep the stove burning. So I have the feeling that just metabolically, it's a good thing. And then I started thinking, what about just applying this to life? Like, to live the engaged life, to me, starts with engaging with gravity. We do an exercise in tango that my wife does. She's a tango teacher, and she'll have you stand, in a kind of a neutral position with your, knees a little bent and hips soft a little bit, and stand like that. And your partner comes up to you and just gently pushes on your shoulder, very slowly and very gently. And they push on your shoulder and you don't want to let them move you, so you don't move. So when they push, you feel that pressure, and then you have to engage your core. Your core will engage at a certain point, and they tell you when they feel that. There it is, and it's noticeable, very noticeable. You just feel it in your hand, like, I can feel their core in my hand, and they can feel your hand in their core. And when you're dancing tango, you're communicating through that pressure. It's not a massive core engagement. It's not the kind of core engagement you need to, do sit-ups. It's just enough that you're connected. That level of engagement in your core is possible not 24 hours a day, but all your waking hours. And so it's just enough that it's enough engagement that if something pushes on you, it connects to your core a little bit. You still have wiggle room. You can still adapt, and it's not like firm, like so that any pressure knocks you over. You're just some engagement there. And I started thinking, wow, what would it be like to live either consciously engaged with gravity and your life, or consciously take a break and disengage from it, but never default unconsciously not engaged. So you're either engaged or not, and you're conscious of it. You make a clear choice. So you say, I know that this is less healthy for me, but I'm going to collapse my posture and fall into this sofa and watch a movie now because I'm tired. Consciously, make that trade-off consciously, instead of just falling into the couch and doing that, and just being disengaged, right? Your body's not engaged, it's just plunked. The unconscious default disengagement is what I'm talking about not doing. It's okay to disengage, obviously, but if you do it consciously and remind yourself, I'm trading my health for this, and sometimes you need to do that, but maybe you'll do it a little bit less if you make a conscious decision, like I'm trading my health and well-being for this disengagement. So it starts with engaging with gravity. So when I'm standing, I just lift my chest a little, tuck my hips a little, just that much. I'm engaged with gravity right now. My legs are bent, I can feel it. When I'm sitting, anytime I notice that I'm not engaged, I just lift my chest a little, tuck my tail a little bit, and just feel like I can actually feel the pressure of gravity on my body, and it is engaging my core and my muscles, not harshly, just enough that I can feel it. And I go, there, I'm now engaged with my body. My physicality is engaged with gravity, one of the primal forces of nature that I can actually feel on my body. It is nature touching me all the time, pressing me towards the earth, and I'm gently pushing back. There. So what does that mean in terms of life? What it means is like engaging with your problems. It means making contact with your problems, having some energy moving towards action about that problem. You may not be able to fix the problem. It may be a predicament. It may be something that you have to labor under for the rest of your life, or it may be a problem that you can solve. The important thing isn't necessarily solving the problem. It's being engaged with the problem. So it means it's the opposite of complaining. It's not that complaining is terrible. It's okay to express negative feelings about things that are happening. That's not complaining. That's, ow, this hurts, I'm mad, I'm sad because this is happening. That's not complaining. Complaining is, why does this have to be this way? Complaining is, they're whiners from Saturday Night Live, we'll never make it. That kind of complaining, it just disengages you. So I would say, don't complain, express negative feelings if you need to, but engage with the problems so that you're in contact with them. And if you can, take some tiny action, just some small step towards solving them. It's not about solving the problem, it's about being engaged with the problem. Because being engaged with a problem, being engaged with life, being engaged with gravity, being engaged with things is just healthier. It doesn't matter whether you solve the problem. But you're not, the problem. You're, okay, the problem. I'm engaged with it. If it was a bear, I'd be wrestling with it a little bit. I'm not going to necessarily beat the bear, but I'm not just going to lie down on the ground and get killed. Even if that's the correct strategy for dealing with a bear, I happen to have forgotten that, but it may be a bad analogy. But the point is to be engaged with gravity, to be engaged with your problems, to be engaged with physical situations so that you're not trudging. You're not doing this, and just kind of leaning against stuff and putting your hip out and doing all these ways of avoiding gravity. It isn't that you have to be in super great shape or be a Tai Chi master. It just means standing up a little straighter and feeling gravity into your body. Looking at your problems as obstacles that are there and putting some pressure on them, doing some small thing to move that problem a little closer to being solved, and just being aware of the problem and engaged with it so that you're not collapsed under it, you're not plowing through it with a ton of force, you're not forcing your way through stuff, but you're not totally passive about it. In between, Tai Chi, balance, is a state of engagement between yin and yang. The yang is the soft part, the yin is the soft part, the yang is the hard part, the firm part. You want them in conversation because you don't know what's going to be needed next. You may have to yield. You may have to go forward. But in either case, you want to be engaged. Yielding without engagement is just just fall on the ground, right? Firmness without engagement is just falling almost into the space in front of you. So if you're firm with engagement, you're over your stuff, you're solid, and you're ready. If you're soft with engagement, you're over your stuff, you're soft, but you're ready. Either way, ready, engaged. So just enough, try it sometime. Have someone just push on you, even with a finger, until you start to move and you firm your core a little so that they can't move you. Just that amount. I'm talking about a minimum amount here. Just a little core engagement, and it helps to lift your chest a little bit. Not out, but up. Some of the Tai Chi classics are translated as collapse the chest, and you see a lot of people with this caved in chest version of Tai Chi. Their back looks like this, kind of. I can't say that's terrible or bad, but it would be if I was doing it, because it makes me feel bad. I much prefer the translation, restrain the chest. So the chest is restrained. In other words, it's back a little bit. It can still lift. It's not puffed out like this. It's restrained a little bit. And then you can go up, which aligns it with yoga, which aligns it with Pilates and other techniques of posture and balance and work. You don't want your chest collapsed. You want it, but you don't want it puffed out either. Again, it's in between, and a little bit of lift, a little restraint, and then you can engage with the forces around you. And I think it's a great way to live. Even if you're depressed, even if you're feeling down, engage a little bit more. Sit up a little bit straighter. Engage with the problems just a little bit more. Avoid the problem a little bit less. Feel your feelings a little bit more. Pull away from the edge less. Stay with the edge of gravity, the edge of inertia. When you're walking, don't trudge. Walk with some purpose. Lift your chest. Move through space. Feel the inertia of your body, and you're overcoming that with your own leg power. It doesn't mean launch into the future with furious force, and it doesn't mean trudging. It means engaged. It means in the middle. So I really recommend the engaged life. It's not that it's a better life, and it's not that it's a moral choice or will lead you to a more spiritual awakening. I don't know about those things. It might. But I know for me, it just leads me to feeling more alive and healthier. And my metabolism seems to go up. And, I would love to lose a few pounds, nothing serious, and I have been slowly taking them down. And one of the ways I do it is this engagement, and I can feel my metabolism gently increasing. And when I do push-ups or exercise or something, I can feel this ripple effect afterwards if I stay engaged, if I stay in this engaged framework. I feel like I burn calories long after I exercise. It's not just about the moments of high intensity. So anyway, that's my pitch for the engaged life. Let me know what you think. I always like to hear comments, especially if it's been useful to you in some way. I do have tip jars in my descriptions for these videos, and I have tip jars all over my website, GeneBurnett.com, but I'm really just putting this out there to be helpful, and I hope that it is. So good luck with your training. Stay healthy, breathe deep, because we want to see you on the other side of all this craziness. Bye now.